A lot.
Good evening, good evening, everybody. Man, we have another show coming for you guys. This is the Unfiltered Kings podcast, where we talk about real conversation, unscripted. Man, we try to have conversation to each other, not at each other, man. And so hopefully you guys will enjoy this show tonight, man. Thank you all who have been hanging there with us, man, showing us love on social media, going to Facebook, following us on social media, man. And so Unfiltered King Podcast, man, we're out there on all your platforms. And so if you can do that right now or throughout the show, man, make sure you go look up Unfiltered King Podcast. We do have a new platform. Breaking news, new platform, Podbean, man, has been great. And so we will be partnering with them. Now we're on that platform, man. It will just be the audio. We are working behind the scenes to bring you guys the video on our YouTube page. But in the meantime, man, you get all our great content right there on Podbean.
Yeah.
So download that app to your phone, man, plug and play. Look up Unfiltered King Podcast, man. Hit that follow, subscribe button, man,
Come give us a
and stay
listen too.
tuned in, man. Yeah, easy to listen to while you're driving in from work, on your break at lunch or whatever, or you're driving home, man. Show us that love, and so we appreciate that. Man, look, we have a good one tonight. Celebrating trauma, false healing, the master pain. Man, that's a lot kind of bottled up in there. Hopefully,
Yeah.
by the end of this conversation, man, we're going to extrapolate everything, man, and have a real honest conversation. How do we approach trauma? And more
Mm.
important, how do we approach healing? Do we just let time pass by and let it heal, or is there more to it? So, man, let's just jump into it. First and foremost, man, I want to introduce the team, man. That's not only the faces of the podcast, but also, man, working hard behind the scenes. Frank, you want to shout out to the people?
What's up, people? You know what it is. GQ dog, man. Too smooth dog. You know what it is. Rudy Root to the bros.
Man, I got my Omega brother with me, man. My Masonic brother with me. Frank, it's always good to see you, man. So glad that you can kind of jump on, man. He got the little prince behind him, man. That's gonna be the future up and coming podcaster. He trying to get in, man. Get his 2 cents in, man. Man, and then we're gonna go to my boy Carlos. Carlos, man, what you got for the people, man?
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Glad to be aboard, man. One love.
All right, man. All right, man. Carlos, that's my big brother in Christ, man. We've been holding it down. We're gonna keep holding it down until the wheels fall off, man. And so, man, I'm glad that we can be here, Kings, man. Hopefully, we can have a great conversation, unfiltered, man, and really kind of clarify some things, man. So, if you haven't done so already, like I said again, jump in, join us on all social media outlets,
Yeah.
Unfiltered Kings podcast, and again, don't forget our new platform, Podbean. Download that app and look up Unfiltered King podcast. Make sure you follow and subscribe for some great content there. It will just be the audio, and like I said, we will be bringing the video here shortly on our YouTube page. We have some things up, some kind of snippets and some sneak previews up. So check out our YouTube page also.
Yeah.
Man, without
Most deaf, most
further
deaf.
ado, man,
Yeah.
as you all been following us so far, you know, man, before we jump off into anything heavy, man, we want to check the pulse in the room, man. Check on each other, love on each other, what it is we have to do for each other, make sure we're right, man, before we move forward. And so with that, man, I'm gonna turn it over to my boy Frankie.
Already, man. Y'all know what time it is. It's time for the vent, baby.
Man.
Get it off your chest. Don't be afraid to get whatever it is off your chest, whether it's good, bad, in between. Let us know what's up, man. Y'all already know we do it on the scale wise. 10 being excellent, one being terrible. Without further ado, you know I gotta kick it off, man. Today was a pretty productive day for me. You know, I'm gonna give it I give it about a 6. I ain't do nothing too major. Like I was telling Los earlier, man. I went and did my appraisal, homestead little application, turned that in, went and worked out for a bit, ran me a mile and a half, came back home, just been chilling, man. Fam in there, they playing video games, the kids, they in there watching the DNC convention. Hey, it's just been a chill day. That's all I got. I'm gonna throw it off to my boy Jay. What's good, man? Tell the people what you're venting.
Man, my bad, man. I had to put out a fire right quick.
Hey man,
Man, I
don't
don't know
knock,
if
man.
y'all can see it, man, but my little wing wrapped up, man. So that's gonna be at least a 4 out of 10. You know what I mean?
Man, who you knocking out, man?
Man, I had to go and just take out his whole fronts. You know what I mean? I don't play
Ah,
no games over
Man,
here. You know
real
what I'm
quick.
saying?
oh,
No,
Tyson
I'm
style.
lying. No, I'm just lying. You know what I'm saying? Man, actually, I'm probably at a 7 or 8, man. I'm back into my personal counseling. Kind of
Right
had a
on,
little
right on.
setback, and thankfully, my big brother in Christ, Frank, was there to help me through that, and so it kind of feels good, you know. Some things I say you get over, some things you manage, and so I feel it's
Yep.
one of the things I'm managing. But more important, I'm just glad to have the help and assistance that's there. You know, a lot of
Already.
us work on jobs and we're in situations where a lot of that stuff is either free or little or no cost. So, man, I'm a walking testimony that it works, man. And so, if you have the availability or
Yeah,
access, rather, you know,
All
man,
that stuff, yeah.
we're gonna talk about that
Use it.
tonight, man. Don't hesitate to use it. You know, there are people out there
Yeah.
who don't even have it, right?
yeah,
And they need it. And so, thankfully, mine is only a phone call away, man. And so, I have no complaints. I had just a little injury at work just from typing. I think it's carpal tunnel. So they think I did a little nerve damage. So I have to start
mm,
physical training, physical therapy, and all that. And so, but for the most part, man, we just chugging along. So that's pretty much how I'm doing.
Already, already. Breathe in, breathe out. Los, go ahead and vent, baby.
hey, what's good, everybody?
What's good, man?
Man, I think I'm gonna put mine about a 6 or a 7, man. Maybe stay a flat 6. Um,
Already.
everything's rolling, everything's good, man. Workplace is falling into place, learning how to pick up and put down, and I think the hardest thing for and I'm speaking personally for me was that Superman syndrome. You know, sometimes I don't know how to put nothing down. I put that cape on the minute I hear something. So
Right on, right on.
learn to take the time to say some things I'm learning to put down. So
Yeah,
I'm
learn,
pretty happy
learn,
to say
learn to keep the glasses on and just be Clark Kent for a while. You
sometimes,
know what I
yeah.
mean?
And I did that I did that today. I did a couple of
Yeah,
them. I put down and removed myself from it. So um, it worked out well. Of course, if you guys remember, I had a little incident earlier this week. You know,
yeah.
dealing with something. You guys are there for me, so I appreciate that network right there as well.
Hey,
So
no problem, baby.
I'm gonna say a 6. No, you know what? After that, I'm gonna make it a 7.
Right on, right on, right on.
Man, you know what? That's very important, and it's kind of like a little nuggets that's going to get into our topic: celebrating trauma, false healing to mask the pain. It is very important for our men to realize that we do that as a part of men, and that
Yeah,
in itself becomes another problem. Even if there's an issue at hand, it becomes another problem in itself, and that one's hard to diagnose because we don't see it. You know, that
yeah,
one's the
Mm-hmm.
one that's from the inside out that's kind of justified. So, man, it's always
hmm,
encouraging and good to have people in your circle that can see on the outside in, outside the
Yeah,
inside out. Hey, let that go. That ain't even your fight, you know. And so a lot of time we reward ourselves as men as that's being a man, and but that's the very thing that's keeping them from being the man that God wants to be. So I'm glad to hear that, man.
hmm.
Frankie, you got anything else, my friend?
oh, that's it, baby. You know what it is, man. Don't be afraid to let people know what's going on. You know, like Cardi B said, seems like most of us just had a regular day. You know what I'm saying? But hey, anything on your mind, don't be afraid to talk to somebody, get it out. You know what it is. You gotta vent, baby.
Yeah,
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 yeah, yeah. Man, like I said, now I've said this 100 times. Probably said this every episode. Now I'll say it again. This is probably one of my favorite part of the shows, man, because a lot of times when things happen in life, we jump right in, like Carlos alluded to, like the superhero and trying to deal with the problem, but we
yeah,
never to check to see are we in a position to deal with it, right?
yeah,
Like, so it's
yeah.
always good to just check that pulse, like Frank said, if it's something there, if it's not something there, it's just good. It's just a good habit to check and vent, hey, what do I need to get out before I put this in? Sometimes that keep us from spilling over and everything, man. So again, man, I love that part of the show. Celebrating trauma, false healing to mask the pain. Man, what is trauma? Do we celebrate trauma? That kind of
Mm,
sounds crazy, right? That kind of sounds like everybody saying, no, I don't celebrate trauma. But do we celebrate it? And
mm.
do we ever get to true healing? Or is time the only factor that we use in our healing? Man, we're going to jump into a great topic tonight. But before we do that, man, I'm gonna turn it over to Carlos, man. It's all type of things happening in the world. Some are big to other people, headliner. Some things is just, hey, it's interesting to us. And so, with that being said, man, we like to talk about some type of current event that's maybe not happening in your world, but it's happening in somebody's world. And so, with that being said, Carlos, man, what's happening in the world, man?
What's happening?
What's happening? What's happening? You know what? You're right. It is may not be happening outside the world. It happens somewhere in the world. So in the news
Yeah.
right now, I know you heard about the Lynch family, who had the yacht. I mean, the super yacht crashed Monday. 22 people on board,
Man.
15 rescued, and there were still about five unfound.
Dang.
Well, they just found a body not too long ago and recovered one. Now, what's interesting, scientists are saying now that when it comes to these situations, having money is not a factor. Meaning you can have as much money in the world to do what you think anytime in any world, but in the end result, you're no different than nobody else. So that's kind of
Man,
interesting, though, man. What y'all think about that?
man,
It's crazy, man.
man. First and foremost, our hearts and prayers go out to all that was lost. I saw that article too on CNN, and in
Yeah.
total 24. And you think about the people who were a part of this yacht, this
Hmm.
billionaire and his guests, but you think about the help. I think they said the first one they found was the chef. Someone
Yes.
as
Dang.
simple as that, that's a family that has to get out them black holes, so to speak. So definitely, our
Yeah.
hearts and prayers go out to all who lost. I think they said they found the billionaire this morning. So the only other person is changed from a rescue mission. Now it's recovery, which
Yeah.
that means it's fatalities. So I think the only person they're looking for now is the 18-year-old daughter.
The daughter. That's
And
Man.
correct.
so
So
Yeah.
yeah, man.
nobody alive, huh?
Yeah, unfortunately, they went into a violent storm and it snapped. I
Mhm.
think that's what the article said. And so, man, look, we
Dang.
all want to have nice things in life, and you know, I hate when people say the Bible says the money's the root. I know the Bible says the love of money. It's like, let's get
The
it right.
love.
Yeah.
We need resources to live, but I think
Yeah.
there is a lesson in there where a lot of time we're so used to throwing our money and our money taking us away without thinking that at the end of the day, man, life happens to everybody, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like no one's exempt, and so we definitely wish the family and friends that was involved in that, our
Yeah.
condolences. But yeah, that's hopefully they found the daughter so that way everybody can kind of turn their attention
Yeah.
to being able to grieve.
Can get
So
some closure. You're
get
right.
some closure, man. So
Yeah. Sound like a Kobe situation, man, too. So, they probably gonna look into all that stuff. Like, man, they,
Yeah.
if it, did y'all pay attention to weather reports, or also probably manufacturing stuff like that? Like
Hmm.
how
yeah,
good was the yacht built? You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
But
well, I was
it
I was
just
I was reading a little bit of article, and a lot of time, like I said, when they build these things, and Kobe was a great example where even when there's danger, well, from a professional, I have done it before, but ultimately you're taking a risk, right?
risk.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
Like
Yeah.
I mean, yachts are big, so for a super yacht, that said something, right? But
Yeah.
the reality of it is, bad things unfortunately can happen at any point in time, and so
Yeah.
sometimes you just have to err on the side of caution. We never go out when we're having fun with our friends and plan on something fatal like this happening. But the reality of it is, if there was a storm in the area, I'm pretty sure there should have been. Let me just say that with all due respect, some type of reporting or whatever that, quite frankly, could have saved lives. So,
It said it was
um,
a severe thunderstorm.
yeah,
So
to the point where it snapped a
right.
super yacht. Like,
Yeah.
Crazy.
that's a
That's why I
yacht is
said,
big,
like,
like I said. So
you
a super yacht, that's not
those like people like that, boat captains, air pilots, and all that stuff. They get weather reports, man. So
right, right.
weather updates and all this other
Yeah,
stuff. So
Yeah.
it's
yeah,
it's gonna be interesting to hear like
What
more
happened?
breaking stuff on the story, trying to
yeah.
see like why did they go out there when they knew it was a
Right,
storm
right,
coming, or did they know it was a
right.
storm coming and ignored it, or something like that.
Yeah,
Hmm.
just like the one, like I said, like you mentioned with Kobe. May
Yeah,
he rest in
high
peace with the ones
high
that was on
fog
there.
and high visibility. The
Right.
pilot still went out there. Yeah,
Baby
Yeah.
girl Aaliyah, she unfortunately lost her life like that, and there are times where with money and prestige, it affords you an opportunity to kind of bend the rules or kind of ignore this and things of that sort. And so
Yeah.
we'll see what comes of that story. Like I said, the ultimate thing is, man, that our condolences go out to all those who lost their lives and who was affected by that. And so that's where we'll leave it on that. So, Carlos, we appreciate you, man, letting us know what's going on in the world. Man, we're going to try to transition into our topic, celebrating trauma, false healing to mask the pain. Now, I want to share something. Um, I want to share something with you guys, and I'm gonna try to do this split screen here, because I think it'll be better to read it.
Mm.
Um, can you all see it?
Not yet.
Is it on the screen?
No, I see it down here though, at the
Here you go,
bottom.
sure.
Oh, I gotta add it to the screen.
Yeah.
There you go.
For technology. So this is the premise of our conversation, and I saw this on social media, and I instantly thought it'd be a great topic. Carlos, could you read that for us?
All right. Your traumas made you stronger. No, my trauma made me traumatized. It made me weak. It gave me memory loss. It gave me it gave me my feelings that I never wanted. I made myself stronger by dragging myself out of the dark place and dealing with the consequences that weren't my fault.
Man,
It's a
that's a
mouthful.
heavy one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oftentimes we hear so many people, and we even find ourselves celebrating trauma within itself because it's in the past, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we find ourselves in a different day and a different time to where we're not immediately dealing with it. And so we use that token, hey, it made me stronger, right? Hey, I got through that. But the
Mm-hmm.
reality, what we want to do tonight, man, let's extrapolate that. Let's take a look at that process, because I think the author of this made some great points. You
Yeah.
kind of put that saying out there that sounds good and it probably makes you feel good that you got through it. But the reality is that the author said there was a lot of internal things that in reality they was actually dealing with. And we was
Mm-hmm.
talking about this before we started recording, and I wanted to kind of use this as the foundation, right? It's just like if you have a wound. We've all had wounds, cuts, and scars and stuff from just being kids, even sometimes now, right? Um, but the reality of it is, we have scars, and that scar represent, believe it or not, where that wound did not heal correctly.
That's right.
Now the reality of it is, it did heal. It quit bleeding. The flesh healed and whatnot. The body automatically does that, right? But the reality of it is that scar is there. A lot of people have that scar, that I remember that time, right? And
Mm-hmm.
although that immediate pain or that immediate threat or whatever caused that scar is not there, the reality of it is you can always look, and it's going to mentally take you back, to what actually happened. And sometimes them scars we can still have residual effects of, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that's a good foundation of improper healing, or something that healed incorrectly from a
Yeah.
physical standpoint. And the question that I want to kind of put out there, or the topic, is, do we do the same thing with our emotions,
Mm.
right? So what I want to do is just talk about, man, think about a time, and audience, you guys can chime in, definitely leave it in the comments and things of that sort, to kind of really get the most out of this topic tonight. Think about a time when you went through trauma, whether that within the family, within a relationship, on a job, like in any place where you went through trauma. What are some common perceptions of how people get through trauma? Just trauma within itself, past relationship, we talked about on this podcast, growing up through family trauma. What are some common ways that you guys think people get over trauma? Hey, I'm over that, so to speak.
Hmm.
Just off the top
Off the
of your
top
head.
is always number one. Conversation, talking about it.
Conversation, talking about it.
Yeah,
You know.
that'll
Now,
always,
say that again.
And
I said that's always number one, man. Gotta get like I said, even with our set, like with the vent session, you gotta get off your chest. Now sometimes it might be for the bad, sometimes it might be for the good, but once it's out there, you are now able, all parties are now able to adjust. You know what
Right.
I'm saying? So, so conversation is always key.
So, Carlo, let's take that first one. Frank say a good, healthy way is talking about it.
mm-hmm.
Well, here's my question: do we always allow people to talk about their trauma?
Nope.
No, we never give an opportunity to. In
Let's
fact,
talk about that a little bit.
it's really interesting because when trauma hits, we often give different cliches like, we can go any direction. God meant for you to go through that. Or another good one is, you will be okay. Don't cry. Um, suck it up. Or there are so many different ways and different things that are given to try to help you deal with the trauma or the problem at that moment. But that's where the scar starts to heal improperly at that moment. You're not given the opportunity. You were young, making adult decisions, or you were a father or a mother who hadn't had the background of knowing how to raise or rear children. I mean, there are so many factors that could apply to it that
Mm-hmm.
don't give you the opportunity to express yourself, to talk about that trauma. Because most time when trauma it hits when you don't know or at least expect it.
Yeah, and
That's a very interesting point. Go ahead, Frank.
some scars are self-inflicted too. So
Yeah,
either out of embarrassment or just pure
ignorance, not
non-confidence
knowing.
of
Stupidity. Yeah,
thinking
just
somebody's not gonna understand or any of that to that nature or they won't get it or man they dealing with their own stuff. So like I said, some of these scars are self-inflicted because you feel like if I say something nobody's gonna listen to me or
hmm
it's beneath whoever or I'm too embarrassed to say it, and then you get the trauma just like that too.
yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's something Carlos said that's very interesting, and I hope our audience remembers this throughout the conversation, right? Because it bothers me when I hear people, and we're now kind of sliding into that relational interaction between men and women. Come heal, or leave your trauma behind, or
hmm
that person not for me. But the reality of it is, usually the onset of trauma is not recognized.
hmm
It is usually when you're already in it and watch this have some side effects or some residual effects of trauma before you even realize that that was a traumatic experience.
hmm
And sometimes you're long gone from the traumatic experience, not all the time, but sometimes you're long gone from the initial traumatic experience and you're back to some sense of normality before you realize, wait a minute, these are some triggers here and there, right?
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
Right.
so when we're talking about what Frank's saying and talking about it, it shows you, in my opinion, how unfair we judge people, right?
hmm
Um,
Mm-hmm.
we don't look like the stuff that we've been through, right?
That's right.
Usually, some people don't look like it. Now, some people are more apparent, but it shows you from the onset how unfair. When we're talking about that celebrating trauma, no, I don't think anyone's walking around celebrating in the true essence of the term. But the reality of it is, it's permitted, it's
hmm
upheld, right?
hmm
And even though, like Frank said, that first counter is to talk about it, well, you can't talk about something that you don't see the ill effects of, right? And
Yeah.
we're talking about the beginning stages. You don't realize that this road is getting ready to be a traumatic impact on my life changing,
Mm-hmm.
whatever you want to use, right?
hmm
So it's already stifled. And
hmm
then, like Carlos said, we don't give each other permission to get it out. Let's start right there. Why
Mhm.
do you think why do you think that's such a hard thing? Like we know we all imperfect, we know we all have a past, we know we all go through things. But why do you all think it's so, to me it's almost like an oxymoron that we don't allow people to get their trauma out or their truth out if it's not appealing?
Sometimes, when dealing with trauma, especially when someone on the outside notices it, um, the commonality is what causes the problem. We can see it coming, and to keep ourselves from going through that or seeing that person and let them go through what we think it looks like, we stop them. Because what happens is either we end up revisiting or we watch someone we care about, someone we know end up revisiting. So we don't, we try not to allow them. Now, some say that may come from a good place sometimes, but if you don't allow, then you end up seeing the same process happen that happened to you, because at the same time you could have not had the opportunity to be open. So in some senses, when you don't fully understand what's happening, you think you're doing a favor by not allowing them to express it outwardly, or not to talk or give that room or that platform to begin to deal with the trauma, or even recognize the trauma. Another good point about trauma is just not one. It's stages. You can catch it in stages, and most times, just like going into a hospital. If you go into a hospital, you have a team that recognizes you're hemorrhaging. We're here. We're there. We're there. So they're already working on a plan to try to either stop it at the earliest stage as possible. So that's why I think when it comes to dealing with that, we sometimes, whether it be pride, whether it be embarrassment, whether it be glorification, whatever you want to call it, and whatever reason you use to try to dampen it, we just don't give the room sometimes. Sometimes we don't give the opportunity of the person just to even talk or begin to talk about the trauma, or about what they think looks like trauma, or beginning to go into trauma.
Frank, you said one of the beginning stages that we should be able to talk about trauma. But why do you think society that's not popular? Why do you think society doesn't
Mm,
allow me to talk about my trauma? Right? Like we definitely know that talking about it is one of the first stages. You know, you go into a doctor, he's gonna ask you
Yeah.
check me. But
Mm-hmm.
what I'm getting at, why do you think society, although that sound good, that's the right thing, but why do you think society frowns on people who just open up telling their truth?
Most moments are never the right moment, and
mm,
that's where people get it cloudy.
mm-hmm,
Because true enough, yeah,
mm,
like hey, certain situations, like hey, calm down. We gonna put a pin in this and come back to it. Now's not the time. Certain situations, yeah, you might have to do that, but then you get some people that take advantage of something like that when that certain situation is right then and there, but said person just don't want to deal with your trauma.
right.
And then they tell you, hey, put a pin in it. This is that. Well, you ain't in the operation room, or
Mm,
it's not a hostage situation. This just me and you talking at a restaurant. Why you want me to put a pin in it right now?
mm-hmm,
We could talk right here and right now, but they don't want to deal with it.
Yeah.
Whoever you're speaking to, because either they know what it is, or it's either them, or they might be triggered about something. And it, like I said, people just take advantage of that, and it's kind of one of those gray area type deals. You know what I'm saying? Because yeah, true enough, some moments aren't the right time, but with trauma, as we all know, when it's at a boiling point, it'll happen anywhere.
that's right.
Yeah.
And sometimes most people's main goal is to calm said person down. You know what
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying? So it's one of those broad spectrums, man.
I, I
Um,
think you I think you kind of hit on something, man. And here we're unfiltered, right? I think
Unfiltered. Yep.
what you're speaking on is society's selfishness,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm,
Because even if you're not an expert, even if you're not that's not your area of expertise, you still can redirect, right? I
Yeah.
mean, imagine seeing someone with a real wound. Go back to our literal example. You're not a doctor or anything, but you would think that you would at least try to stop the bleeding or point them in a direction, call them. Like there should be some type of reaction other than the one
Yeah.
we're talking about now. It's almost like society we
Mm-hmm.
we punish people.
Yeah. And and
Like
and
Frank
get
said,
this.
we judge people. Go
And
ahead.
get this. The main redirect most people will tell you is you're not the only one that's going through things.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and you hit on something. We've developed these things. And that's why I said celebrating trauma in parentheses to where we assign the good thing to it. And again, we're
Exactly.
just
Hmm.
talking about the healing. We'll talk about the trauma. We'll talk about the healing process in a minute. We say things that we assign that makes us feel good because we don't leave space for that other person.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it's sad, man, that we live in society, and sometimes we do this with family and friends, and it almost gives a connotation like I got mine all together. Like we forget, you know, we probably was there, or we were probably there dealing with a different way, or we probably was fortunate to have the
Mm-hmm.
right people. To
Yeah.
Frank's point, we had it was the right time for us, and we forget that if that's that person's moment, and like
Mm-hmm.
Frankie said, we already know what a boiling point is, right? You think about
Mm-hmm.
that, the boiling means it's going to spill over on everything. It's no longer in the pot. So that's a whole nother issue right there. But it's like, I just feel that is a very selfish approach that we celebrate. And like Frank said, we say those things that just cliche, that
Yeah.
sounds good. But when we really just hold ourselves accountable, that's the worst advice ever. I
Hmm.
remember being in this group and they wanted me to speak on social media about mental wellness. I think it was for Mental Health Awareness Month. And on the backdrop, they put it was something about suicide prevention, and they was like, um, "Don't worry about it, you'll be okay." And I talked to the moderator, and I'm like, "Take that down. That sounds good, right?" And I'm giving an example. That sounds good, probably means well. But if you ever been a victim or been around someone who committed suicide or thought about suicide, that's the last thing I want to hear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't
Because the
worry about
reality of it is, I'm having these thoughts or doing something to myself because I can no longer see
it.
that
Mm-hmm.
it'll be okay. So telling me that in that moment, could you imagine? That's the whole point. Long story short, that
Mm-hmm.
drive that person. You're right.
Mm-hmm.
I- It's okay for you. I can't see that for whatever it is. Let me go ahead and follow through with that. And so
Mm-hmm.
I remember speaking on that, and they were very understanding. But it's things like that, Frank, like you said, to where, even when we thinking we're doing well and we're doing okay, we're doing a service, we're really doing a disservice, right? And even when you look into our relationships, Carlos, man, why is it that we want perfect people these days, right? And
Yeah.
again, let me put this in context for our audience. We're not talking about people with issues and they don't want the help. That
Yeah.
ain't everybody's story,
Yeah.
right? We're not talking about people who's rejecting or people who need deeper help or whatnot. But it's like nowadays, any sign of imperfection is a flag, right?
Yeah.
Carlos, could you talk about that? Because to me, I think you said a while ago that causes people to suppress it, right?
Yeah.
Because now I just want to be accepted. And so,
Yeah.
could you talk about how that looks in a relationship to where it's almost like it's almost like we make a mockery or we
Mm.
shun people who get to the point where that trauma is coming out.
Yeah. We make a good point, and actually, you asked a question that kind of segue for me a little bit into this, and you asked about um, what does the trauma look like in society? And actually, a good point was society often celebrates this trauma. It's a $1 billion industry that's often done throughout social media. So then you come and then move into relationships where you have people who are newlyweds, people who are looking to start lives and start marriages and start relationships, and then they have been fed what society has been feeding and seeing and celebrating. So they bring it into these relationships, not knowing that you're actually traumatized, and in the middle of your trauma, you're hemorrhaging. So now you're trying to start these type of relationships in a process where you haven't got healing, you haven't got understanding, you haven't answered that question about trauma. I mean, and that's a serious thing. I mean, I'll be transparent. Growing up, a solid place to stay was a very, very limited thing. So throughout my life, the one thing that I wanted to make sure was I had somewhere to stay. Now, as I got older, I realized that my focus was on that so much that I tend to not put much emphasis on anything anywhere else. To me, because of what I've been through, the one thing I had to get guaranteed was I had somewhere to stay, and it even started to seep into my marriage. I'm paying rent. I didn't give the opportunity. I didn't get a chance. I took it on myself. Now I'm doing this because I couldn't trust someone else to do something that affected me since I was young, and then I never felt comfortable, whether it be pride, whether it be the people around me, um, maybe joked about it, or, and if you wanted to be honest, man ain't supposed to cry, man ain't supposed to show weakness. So I held it in. So now you take all those things now, and then you try to get a relationship started, and you haven't even filtered through that trauma. So it's amazing when they say celebrate. How can you celebrate something that's damaging? To me, the celebration should have came at the end saying you've made it through. That's the celebrating part.
Do you all think in a healthy relationship, whether that's friend or boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, do you think that should be a built-in part of the transaction, if you will, of any type of relationship? Is at least attempting to help that person with that trauma. And again, we're talking about the premise of people who want to deal with it. Do you think, or what does that look like to you guys? Do you think that should be a built-in part, Frankie, of any type of, like us, like
Most
It,
definitely. Yeah.
explain that again.
we look at each other,
So are you
we
talking
look at
about
each other as
celebrating it
brothers.
being a part of it?
Do you
Not to cut
think?
you off.
Do you think that willingness to help that other person with that trauma or point them in the
Our
right
willingness
direction?
to
Do you
help.
do you think that should be a part of the relationship? Because sometimes today it seems like it's such a that's over there. Like
Mm-hmm.
Carlos, you and I, we cool, but when it comes to something you really dealing with, that's over there. So do you
Exactly.
guys think that should be a part of any type of relationship
Yeah,
I do.
going forward? Why do you say
yeah.
so, Frankie?
I mean, why you call yourself a friend, or why you call yourself a spouse or significant other if you're not there to help? You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? Other than that, you just some rando that I conversate with at work. You know what I'm saying? Or
Right.
just saying about on the street. Uh, I, I really want to take it back to what Lo said at the end, man, which is the ending. That's where that term comes from. And you know what people say, common sense is always not too common, especially when somebody's deep in trauma.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's just like athletes seeing Jerry Rice or Randy Moss, young athletes seeing these guys like Kobe, LeBron, and they like, man, I got to do that. I, how come I'm not like that? How come it's like a diamond? You know what I'm saying? So you see this diamond, but again, like I said, common sense is not too common. You don't know what was all done to get that diamond polished and finished like that. So when people see the celebrating trauma, like Lo said, that's at the end, and they've overcome whatever they had to overcome, and that's why they're celebrating their trauma and trying to tell people about it. So far as like when people need to say, well, let me base my relate. No, they not telling you to base your relationship off them. It's kind of like, hey, if you kind of got the same problem or going through what we went
Mm.
through, you could take some of the advice that we did or some of the stuff that we did and try to see if it'll help you. You see what I'm
Mm.
saying? But that was Los, you hit that right on the head, man. The celebrating comes at the end.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? Don't think that you well off and like, yeah, hey, I'm yeah, you know, my this that and the other. No, they've overcame it. They've actually overcame it, and they're informing you like, hey, this was what I went through. I did XYZ,
Yeah.
but I had to start, like James always said, you got to go through A through this to get to XYZ. You know what I'm saying? And they
Yeah.
telling you this after the fact, and that's why I celebrate it, because they learned from it. And I think that's where the to me, from the clip that you sent us or the picture that you sent us, I think that's why some people say I've grown stronger, because all this is after. You know what I'm saying? Because
Mm-hmm.
everything that's included, the traumatization,
Mm.
the weakness of it, the depression from it, all that comes after, and then you have it's like the
Yeah.
9 stages of grief or something like that. You know what I'm saying? You
Mm-hmm.
The,
have to go through these things in order to get to that ending, to celebrate it and to learn from it and to teach it.
Mm.
the reality of it is like, to me, I love, as a writer, I like going back and challenging people as we use these different terms. A lot of time in our great society today, we assign meaning to words based from our vantage point or experiences. And I
Mm.
think that's what's dangerous. Think about
Mm-hmm.
a scar. Our scar is a wound that did not heal correctly. That's what a scar is.
Yeah.
Well, that wound's intentional, unintentional. Bullet wound, this scar on my knee from me rupturing my patella tendon. But ultimately, that long term scar is a wound that did not heal correctly. Now, you can have certain functionalities with that scar. I have the function in my knee, but I think what we fail to realize in the conversation, it will never look and function the way it did before the scar,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
right? And a lot of times, I think the reason why that's hard to embrace in relationships is because we have been taught for some reason or other to look for perfection, or
Mm-hmm.
that's going to get on me. And to me, and I've said this all the time, I think that's one of the biggest blessings we don't even look for in any
Mm.
relationship is, what if you are the person that can help me with that? And I
Mm-hmm.
don't get, for whatever reason, why we don't, as human beings, why is that not a positive thing, right?
Mm.
I was talking to a young lady on social media, and she was talking about dating. And I think Frank said he was on to something when we talk about any friendship, whether that's associate, whether that's friend, boyfriend, girlfriend. But what is the term of these terms? Everybody want to make it convenient for them, and I think a lot of it is to keep their trauma hidden.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
See, if I make a brace for me, and it see this comfortable for me, but that don't mean it fits on everybody, right? No, that's
Mm-hmm.
what works for me. So now what I try to do, I try to put Frankie and Carlos in my situation to keep me from changing. And I think we miss that in so many relationships, to where we go in relationships, watch this, with the end goal. I want to have that fixed. It's just like I always talk about a puzzle. I put all the pieces down, but Carlos, you better have your puzzle already put together.
Exactly.
That way I don't have to join in and go through the struggle of putting the
Yeah.
puzzle together. That's
Right
Mm.
not
on. Right
reality.
on.
And a lot of times I see so much good information and good advice on social media, to where, and I'm gonna say this because we're unfiltered, could you be missing out on the person for you because you just unwilling to help somebody heal?
That's
You
right.
would rather leave them in their trauma and castigate them,
Man.
or watch this, leave them with their trauma and they learn to mask it
Mm-hmm.
and get in a relationship with you, then it comes out. So we're setting ourselves up for failure. So it's
Mm-hmm.
almost like in our relationship, we don't have that stick to itness. We don't have that fight anymore. We don't have that desire
Yeah.
to kind of get in the ring, kind of roll up our sleeves anymore. It's just so easy to label and to judge. And I'm like, man, in any relationship with my fellas, kind of like Frankie said, if you can't bring something to it, we can laugh, joke, kick it, frat, and all that. But man, when I'm down and out, if you got nothing for me, then I need to go back and look at the friend, Masonic brother, frat brother,
Yeah.
girl. I gotta test. Wait a minute.
Hey, we gotta relabel some
Wait a
things,
minute.
man.
Is that really what it is? Because like Frankie said, I got a glorified associate.
Yeah.
And I think it says something to both sides because now the person with the trauma is now searching. And keep in mind, we already said that during the trauma stage, we don't recognize that's trauma.
Mm-hmm.
So now they're searching and looking, and usually the thing that we do, we have to celebrate it. Well, it's a scar, so well, I got over it. No, you didn't. Like Frank Carlos just said. What about the emotion? Right? What
Yeah.
about the physical? What about the mental? What about the spiritual?
Hmm.
Time, yes, healed that scar. Time didn't address none of those things, right?
Exactly.
So now I find myself either having to mask it, I say I want to be accepted by you, or I got to do that false celebrating like Frankie was talking about. Frank, go ahead.
Yeah. And real quick, for those who just not tuning in, you know, we celebrating trauma, false healing to mask the pain. Hey, also go follow us on Podbean. We got the website right down there on the ticker. Another thing, man, and let's go back to what you was talking about, Jay. You know, you start looking, and same thing what you said about your hand. You know, imagine like a kid. You know, you can't tell a kid like once a kid gets hurt, a toddler gets hurt, man. That's the end all be all pain.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And let's associate trauma with that. So now, this is where the patients come in, and this also doubles back to, like I said, putting a pin in it.
Mm-hmm.
So you searching with your trauma because it's just tearing you up, it's eating you up, it's hurting real bad, and you steady asking this person like, "Hey, I come on, man, I need it," and then they're looking like, "Well, hey, give me a minute." You know what I'm saying? I don't know what you're going through, but let me find something. Man, I can't wait. I can't this. I can't that. Let's equate trauma like that. So now let's put it back on the person with the trauma. How do we convince them like, hey, give me one good minute. Let me find somebody that's actually, you know, going through what you're going through, because I really can't understand you. And I don't want to give you the wrong advice, but I need it right now. And then they go still get the wrong advice from somebody else because they need it right then and there.
Hey, there Frankie go. There he go.
Man,
Boy, I know when he take off, he gonna take off. Carlos, I'm gonna let you jump into this thing because boy, I'm just like, he put that battery in my pack right there. He down my lane. I'm gonna let you go ahead and chime in. Go ahead, man.
let me go and adjust my seat. There go Frankie. There he go again. It's amazing what Frank was talking about, and it made so much sense. If you pay attention to it, trauma can cause a wound that will give you a scar. But trauma can
feel
still
greater
exist.
than what it is. Yeah.
Yeah, but trauma still exists, though the wound turns to a scar and begins to heal. It leaves a mark to represent the scar, but it never identifies the trauma. So if I cover my scar, you will never see my trauma. But if you see my scar, you will recognize the scar. Mm-hmm. So a lot of times in relationship dealing with people and friends, when we come into relationships, we cover the scar because we don't want the trauma to be seen. Now it's unique though, but a lot of people want to address the trauma, but they're afraid to. And for whatever reason that be, and that's where it comes a lot of relationships, dealing with relationships and marriages, where in the beginning, give me room, or give that room, or if not, give that space and time to try to address that. Because what I know for personally, you may not see trauma right off, but there are some small flags that you can ask questions. Now, when I say flag, I don't mean flag like, oh no, stop. I mean flag like, hey, I noticed something. Let me take a look at that trauma. And now, hey, where did that wound come from? What happened right there? Find a place to begin to talk about that, and then it'll open up. Because a lot of times, what you will find out that what you're doing is what initially caused the trauma for that person in a past relationship. So sometimes by not doing that, and James had a point, when starting these type of friendships, relationships, these marriages, these connections, make time to talk about it. Talk about your life. Talk about that, because then you may learn that you are in trauma or you the one causing trauma. So man, that just popped in my head
Man.
when talking. I was like, boy, ooh. Okay, Jay, go
I
ahead. I'm gonna get.
remember I remember in 2016 when I ruptured my patella tendon, right?
Mm-hmm.
Doctor said we could do one or two things. By the time my knee, the swelling went down, he said we can try to take your patella tendon and stretch it back out because it had wizzled up. He said, or we can go in your hip and remove a tendon, and we can pretty much fabricate or remake your tendon, right? He said, now, if we do that, the chances are you'll walk with a limp for the rest of your life. He said, or when we go in, we can stretch it back out because a piece of my femur had came, a fibula. That's in
Okay.
man. I'm up here um, trying to remember back in school, like, okay,
Man,
what's
your head
wrong
bone
with my knee?
connected.
Right. I started singing the song. I ain't gonna lie to you just to remember. But a
Dr.
part of
J.
that came up and he had to shave it to reattach it to my fibula. The reality of it is that it would have the initial thing would have been healed, but now it causes something else.
Mm-hmm.
And the point that I'm getting at is that a lot of time I think we need to reset our intentions and interactions and set a realistic approach with people.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone has a past. And
Mm-hmm.
even if there are some things that resemble or is an effect from that trauma, does not mean that that person is a bad person.
That's right.
I cannot stand when people use the term flags.
Mm-hmm.
I won't even get into that. But there's
Mm-hmm.
not just a red flag that
That's
means
a whole
stop.
episode in itself.
There is
Right.
a yellow flag that means slow
That's
down.
right.
And
Yeah.
then we forget the point, and this is where the rubber meets the road. When you really have some, what about the flag that's green that say go?
Go.
You know why we can't go? Because we've made all the green flags things that we like.
Exactly.
We never make that green flag because think about it. Frankie said something. What if that's something that I've been through and I can help you with?
That's right.
See, not everybody's going through trauma where it's just so deep, need metal. And if that's the case, then it's help out there. But come
Yeah.
on, let's be real, man. I know people in 10-year marriages that really are associates.
That's right. Yeah.
Yep.
I know people are lifelong friends, they really lifelong associates,
Yeah.
right?
Man.
Because they
Man.
found a way to coexist
Mm-hmm.
hiding the trauma.
Yeah.
And that's why when these things come up, it's so easy to point the finger because we never put ourselves in a situation to deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
Could you imagine if I allowed my patella tendon just to heal up? I'm walking with a limp.
Mm-hmm.
People gonna see that.
Yeah.
Now the mockery, now the uncomfortableness and all that comes with it. Well, it's too late to undo it. So
Yeah.
somebody at that point in time had to give me at least my options. And I
Yeah.
think that's the thing, man. When we talking about celebrating trauma, that's how it leads to a false healing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not everybody dealing with trauma is turning it down.
That's right.
What is our greatest unmet need? To be wanted. That's our human thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times we get in our high horses because we're not dealing with your trauma or mine don't look like yours, Frank. And
Yeah.
we refuse to get down on our high horse for something simple as just redirecting.
Yeah.
Think
Yeah.
about it, you all. We live in 2024 more than any time. If someone approaches us, go back to the example Frank gave, even if they're in their emotions or whatnot, if that is a true friend, or I will say someone I care about, I'm standing in that pocket
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
with you. But it's
Mm-hmm.
so easy to walk away. It's so easy to go find somebody who's hiding their trauma. It's so easy to
Mm-hmm.
go find someone who's learned how to match their trauma. And I've seen so many times where we unfiltered, right?
Hey,
It looks good,
you know
sounds
it.
good, feels good in the beginning,
Yeah.
but then later on down the line, why do you think you keep attracting the same type of people?
Some
Mm-hmm.
limitations. Yeah.
It's insanity.
Yeah.
You've never allowed yourself to operate in your full capacity to understand that this is a part of it.
Yeah.
Because the one thing about someone who's dealing with trauma, we forget we celebrate the wrong thing.
Yeah.
Even if it's an outlet or an outcrying, that's a good sign that they won't help.
Yeah.
It's not hidden inside anymore. But a lot of time we make that look like a nasty stain, and we judge that person. Someone who comes in an abusive household, they're a little aggressive or whatnot. Now, again, we're keeping this in context, right? There has to be
Mm-hmm.
accountability on the person who's going through the trauma.
That's
Yeah.
But
right.
things like that, or a woman, let's be honest, who went through rape, incest, whatnot, now she's promiscuous. It's so easy to label those people
Without
and
knowing about
force them to stay in their trauma instead of stepping up and say, hey,
What you
said
been through?
person is a good
it. Yeah.
person.
Yeah.
Maybe they ain't never had someone to partner with that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the sad part about it is, man, if we look at our real friends, man, do we really know they ugly truth?
Mm-hmm.
Or have they had the mask they other truth or take or give it to us in bits and pieces? Think about how selfish that is. Like if you're in a position to, man, you can get online these days and Google a number. Hey man, I think you should give this a call right here. Hey man, you know what? Let me just listen. You know what I'm saying? I
Yeah.
might not have none for you, but at the end of this, if I can't do nothing but pray for you and redirect you, man, these
Mm-hmm.
are not hard things to do.
At
But
all.
No.
again, we put that buffer in place because we've made these titles, right? I want a man that I want a woman who don't. But what if that's the very thing that unlocks something with us? Where does that helpmate really come into place? Right?
Mm.
It's like we've lost that. We've
Wow.
lost that connectivity in any type of relationship to where do we helpmate? And I'm gonna
Mm.
say this and I'm gonna turn it back over to you. You know why I think we've lost a lot of this? Because we don't make the main thing the main thing.
Yeah.
The main
Mm-hmm.
thing is resources.
Mm. Yeah.
See, we talked about it before. That's why all that other stuff, we don't got time for that.
Yeah.
It's a lifestyle. Can you make me feel good? Can you make me look good? Can we,
Yeah, we
even if
moved the
it's front,
goalpost.
Yeah.
right? Let's keep it 100. Even if
Yeah.
this looks good or whatnot, I don't care,
Mm-hmm.
right? 'Cause it's sad that it says something about people being imperfect, and we're all
Yeah.
imperfect.
Mm-hmm.
And finally, there's an opportunity where that trauma can finally start being discovered or looked into or whatever. And it's almost like we make people swallow their vomit, so to speak, just to be cool with us, or
Yeah.
just to be in association with us, or to be in a relationship with somebody. They have to self medicate. Carlos, you
Mm-hmm.
have to.
Yeah. And we're going to keep it 100, like you said. A lot of times, we want to first state the obvious. Not everybody is trying to get out of trauma, but there are those that are trying to get out of trauma. And I want to go back and bring up some points so they understand that we're just not speaking from a place that we don't understand. I remember a night, one night, a brother called me, and he was just talking on the phone, and he said, "Man, I'm just calling you because I had your number and you said call me." I was like, "What's on your mind, man?" "Oh no, I'm just giving you a call. I'm just giving you a call." "Well, talk to me, bro. Let me see." And I was just trying to find out, what was he going through, what was on his mind. And he's like, "No, man, I'm just feeling this type of way," and I'm steady trying to talk to him, and I couldn't get through to him. I'm like, something's not right. I mean, I hear him asking and talking, but I can't even seem to relate to him. So in that moment, I got a little frustrated. So then I give James a call, my brother online right here. So and we often label trauma as this gigantic when it could be just a moment. See, I come from being the oldest, raising my sister and them, so having to handle situations on the spot, um, being having to do and handle things before my age and time. So when he wouldn't answer me, I regressed. And I begin to panic a little bit, but now I remember, now let me call somebody who I'm connected with, someone who I'm open with, someone who has helped me walk through something. And I gave James a call. And I talked to James, told James why I was there with this gentleman I was on the phone with, and then they began to talk. And then we end up resolving the issue. And I don't mind saying it because I didn't say his name, but that guy no longer wanted to commit suicide. So when we talk about these things, some things are in the extreme category, sometimes they're not. But having that space to recognize yourself, because see, I just said trying to help someone, I regress and remember a moment in my life where trauma hit,
Yeah.
and I began to think that moment, that time, I was a grown 40-something-year-old man, and in a split second, I regressed to being 10 years old, having to make a decision with answers I didn't have. And for that moment, I almost responded to that, but then I remembered, you know what? I got somebody. You know,
Yeah.
let me reach out, and maybe he can help me. Maybe I don't have to stay right here. And so you got to remember that too as well. So when you're dealing with trauma, it doesn't mean that you have to stay in that place. You can come out of that. You can. Not only do you need to look for someone, but you need to be willing yourself. So don't just stay there in that place right there, man. I just had to drop there because we talk about this, and sometimes I don't think that some people know that we come from a place that we're real about this. We're not just coming on here guessing stuff for stats or something like that. No, this is real to us.
And I think we also have to remember, man, in this big wide world, and I'll circle back to that. I remember that brother, and I hope he's doing well. Man, we got to quit living in this facade of giving off this facade that our lives are perfect,
Yeah,
and
Keeping up with the
anybody who
Joneses,
come into
baby.
our orbit has to be perfect. Like, we put this unrealistic standard out there, bro. Like, yeah, everybody wants someone who don't cheat on them. Yeah, everybody wants somewhere where you can grow to, not stroke. Like, those things are foundational pieces.
yeah,
But I think if we just look honest within ourselves, we done got so selfish that, kind of like Frankie said, we looking to the left or the right, and looking at that filtered process, and we're looking at that filtered picture, and we're looking at what limited good points they showing, to where now we put more fluff on it, to where we don't allow people just to come and be. And it's
yeah.
Mhm.
sad that we don't even look at that as a standard part of any friendship,
Hmm.
let alone someone we enter into a lifetime commitment to or partner with, right? Like, even when we talk, like I said, that talk about that word dating. You know, a young lady on social media, she was like, "What if you date and you just wanna casually hang out and have somebody just to connect with? Then we're not dating. That's a friend.
That's a fun. Yeah,
When
yeah,
we're dating, that's an
yeah,
intentional thing. Are you capable of loving? Are
yeah.
you capable of being loved? See, it's now more questions that we should, but we're not taught that. We're so selfish. Not just say you want a friend, or call it what it is, a elf buddy or whatever. Like,
Fuck buddy. Yeah, shit.
Yeah.
don't make yourself look good because you don't want to say it, but in the back of your mind you have that expectation. Because if
Hmm.
you run into this person with the real expectation, now
Yeah,
they wrong.
yeah,
Now if they enter into the relationship and they assume that, hey, if and we say this all the time, if you want to be with me, accept all of me. But what does that mean?
Me, yeah.
Do we really accept all of ourselves? And do
mm,
we really give people the space so that we're accepting all of them? Or do we just make people disposable because we're looking for that Ken doll or that Barbie doll? They gotta be perfect, scripted, and the whole 9 yards. And like I said, it's sad to say that even in our families, man, even
mm,
in relationships that I know been together forever, they can't have them conversations. They
Hmm.
can't have them, and even if they do have them real conversations, they got to have them limited to what the other person comfortable with.
mm,
Yeah.
I can't give you
mm,
my whole truth, but I got to give you just a part you accept. What
yeah.
is that doing? At the end of the day, that's a false healing, because the reality is you're masking that. And the sad
Mm,
reality of it is, and I think Frank alluded to this, and Frank, if you want to circle back on this, but eventually it's going to come up.
Hmm.
There is no trauma in our body that don't
mm,
ultimately comes out. And
Yeah.
now
mm,
when it comes out and affects us, well, we're upset.
mm.
Yeah.
Well, we're mad. Well, now we want to punish the person because they're this bad person.
Right.
Should we not expect us to contribute toward people's healing if
Mm,
we're really thinking long term? Right?
mm,
Hmm.
I
mm.
think when it's all said and done, a word comes to my mind when you were talking earlier, Carlos. Do we really give people grace?
Yeah.
In this world, you got to be perfect. You got to be built for me straight out the package. You got to understand my thoughts. You have to care to me. What if people
And
just mess up?
that's not never gonna work.
It's
Yeah.
never going to work,
Mm.
especially in a world where people do go through things. And think about this: we probably all been here.
Mm-hmm.
The last thing I want to do when I realize trauma is to be permanently labeled for my trauma.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm going through the process and let's say if the process is hard, with me going through my healing process, you want to label me for that? Like I have to live day for day for that trauma, right? Like when does the grace actually kicks in, right? And again, we're not talking about whether trauma spills over on yourself. Well, that's a different story, right? We definitely
Mm.
have to do something different. But we're just talking about giving people in our lives a chance, man, to where they don't have to celebrate their trauma. Like the post we saw, I'm stronger. I came out my trauma. No, you're not. My knee wouldn't have been stronger if I didn't get surgery and just let it heal on its own. It wouldn't have been stronger. Yeah, it would probably still would have been operable, but the
Yeah.
goal is to get my knee back to the way it's properly supposed to function.
Function.
Yeah.
Which leads to the next point. Now, what does true healing looks like? And I
Mm.
think this is something we have to ask ourselves when we engage with friends in any type of relationship. Because again, we want people to be perfect, man. But what
Mm-hmm.
if someone come in our lives, and I think Frank said it, if we go through this healing process right here, and I help you with this healing process, whether it's me or me pointing you in the right direction, man, could you imagine it's like a cancer patient that's gotten to beat cancer? That's when the real celebration comes in.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what came before that? Let's be real.
Fight.
Sometimes healing
Struggle.
involves hurt,
Yeah.
Yeah.
pain,
Yeah.
struggle, and
Yeah.
all these things. When you look at social media, everybody want to skip over that in the world of imperfect people.
Yeah.
That's not reality.
It's
When you
not.
think about those cancer patients celebrating when they're ringing that bell, it's one thing that they don't have to live with anymore. But part of that celebration, I can finally now say I don't have to go through this anymore. And you know why that celebration is important? I've never seen someone celebrate that by themselves.
Yeah.
Frankie, they're usually with the doctors. They're usually
Yeah.
with the
Mm-hmm.
loved ones who stayed there with them. They're usually
Stayed
with the
there by the
loved ones who
side.
was in the
Yeah.
hospital. They're usually with their clergyman who prayed for them. So
Mm-hmm.
where do we get this notion where we shun people and we label people? We see them with the struggle
Mm-hmm.
and we label them, we mock them, we talk against them in the whole 9 yards.
Or
No,
they
I
sit
think
there
we
with
have to
that lie
just,
like this was all me. Like, nah,
yeah,
you got some
yeah,
help.
yeah. It's so easy. I always said it's so easy to chunk people away these days. When it's all said and done, it's so easy to chunk people away. And I think that's how we get in that vicious cycle, or we just run into someone else's trauma at some other type of magnitude and whatever. And so we learn
Yeah.
just to live with the ones who know how to mask it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or the ones who actually celebrate it, who actually celebrate it. So the reality of
Mm-hmm.
it is celebrating trauma, false healing to mask the pain. The reality of it is, man, we got to just check ourselves, right? It's not
Yeah.
always the conversation about the person's trauma. Ultimately, we know that's going to be on them, right? They have to
Yeah.
get the help. But let's take a look at ourselves within our relationships. Do we allow people to express their trauma? Are we the type of people that really get in and roll up our sleeves, or when the trouble comes, any sign of turmoil comes, and we bailing out? That's
Yeah.
not helping that actual person, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, do we allow people, like Frankie said, talk about it? It doesn't mean that you have to own that trauma and play a hand in helping with the trauma. But man, we live in a day and age where there's too much help out here where we can at least redirect people and stand by them. If a person took
Mm-hmm.
time to show you their vulnerabilities, they saw something in you that they're comfortable with. And even if it's the point where you feel it's spreading out over to you, I believe a lot of people will redirect because they care about you enough. And ultimately, like I said, when we finally celebrate, we can truthfully be celebrating that healing properly, and not just
That's
celebrating
right.
the trauma within itself.
Yeah.
Man, this has been a good one, fellas.
Real good.
Celebrating trauma,
Yeah, it
false
was
healing,
this one.
massive pain. Never let someone, man. We can even do another one on this. We'll probably circle back.
Yeah.
The reality is, man, when you with people in any type of capacity, don't ever let nobody mask their pain, man. Not
Right.
saying you got to be the surgeon to do the work, but you never should let someone mask their pain, especially if they want it to come out. Like Frank has said, at least just engage in the conversation. If we got to hand them off like Carlos did a brother that night or that morning, by all means, man, let these relationships really mean
Yeah,
something.
hand it off.
Yes,
Well,
right.
you guys, this
Don't
has
never
been
give bad advice.
another episode of Unfiltered King podcast, man. What I'm gonna do is just take it around one last time, man. See if you guys have a quick final thought. Then we'll tell people where to find us at, man, and we'll wrap this one up, man. Frank, you got any last words?
Yeah, like I was saying, man, pass it off, man. Sometimes you don't people will see that you're just a genuine person and they'll come, explain their problems to you. But like if you ain't been
Mm-hmm.
through what they've been through, don't be afraid to pass it off, man. Because that's where bad advice comes in. If you so eager to help, that eagerness can also equate to finding somebody that actually been through what they've been through or can actually help them, like a licensed therapist or somebody like that. Don't be afraid to pass it off, man, because
Mm-hmm.
you never want to give the wrong advice. Like Jay said, we came in the thing and it said whatever it said. Sometimes that might help people. Sometimes people need to hear like, hey, be strong, you can make it through. Some people might not accept that. So
Mm-hmm.
it's just one of those things, you know what I'm saying? Just don't be afraid to pass it off, man. Find somebody that can actually help, you know?
Yeah.
Hello?
When dealing with trauma, pay attention to yourself. Talk to someone. The worst thing you can do is try to self-diagnose.
Man.
You can't do it. Reach out. We were designed for one another, for conversation, whatever case may be. But seek the help. We all got something. Remember that.
Yeah. We ain't even hit on that tough enough either. Yeah.
Man. Yeah.
Man, look, no one's perfect.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
As we talked about the topic in our What's Happening, money and resources in today's society can help us mask. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes it can cause us to not deal with our trauma.
Yeah.
But understand that's not true healing. What that really is, that's masking, right? And so be very intentional in what it is that you want in relationships, right? If you want to just put a band-aid on a broken arm and just to overlook it and what have you, then the reality is you're setting you up for failure. But don't blame the other person when they trauma come out. Blame yourself. Find yourself being a true friend. Reevaluate what a boyfriend, what a girlfriend, what a husband, what a wife really is.
Mm-hmm.
Um, those dynamics should take new directions every day that you are actual together. And so
That's
I just
right.
have challenge everybody just to challenge themselves, man. Don't ever let someone suffer by themselves in their trauma, and don't ever celebrate your trauma just because time went by.
Yeah.
Again,
Yeah.
the scar comes from an unhealed wound. If you find yourself with a scar and that reminder is still there, go back and check. Make sure that you got proper healing. You guys, this has been another one. Remember to follow Unfiltered Kings podcast on Podbean. We are now up. The audio is up. You can find us on all social media platforms, Unfiltered King podcast. Like, subscribe, man. We're going to keep trying to drop
Share.
knowledge like this, keep trying to knock topics like this where we talk unfiltered and we talk to each other, not at each other. This has been another great one. Thank you to Frankie. Thank you to Carlos. If there's none further, man, believe it. Continue dropping your comments, man. Let's have the conversation ongoing. It does not have to end here on this platform. We'll have you on the other side of another episode on Unfiltered King podcast. Until then, man, we'll catch you all later.
One love.
Peace.
All right.